No,
you know what? One day I should have everybody just.
Can't be too careful, though, those weirdos out there.
Where's the Warner Brothers of the side, bro?
You gotta ask yourself, do I feel lucky?
Marvel Legends Gauntlet, the Nano Gauntlet.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
That is... What is up, everybody, and welcome to another Toy Quest 101 Collectors Assemble Live. This time on a Saturday afternoon here in Jersey. I believe it's like 10 a.m. in the West Coast and 7 p.m. over there at the Netherlands. So we rounded up a great team for this panel, one that usually is never together. So it's going to be fun. But I'm really excited, guys, because, you know, as you guys know, you know, I do a lot of reviews of different companies and stuff, and there was always a company out there that I admired for a very long time. You know, I don't have any affiliations with him. I don't have any of his products. I've seen it. You know, obviously, I'm in the whole circle of, you know, the things that happen and the things that come out and stuff, and we talk about him on our live show. But I'm really excited, man, because I've admired the craftsmanship and the amount of details that this gentleman, our next guest, puts into his work, and it's just been quite amazing. And I'm excited to have him on to talk to him about how he started, the future, and a couple other things, man. But yeah, I'm really excited. He took his time out today on a Saturday, you know, from his family, from work, just to be on our show. And I'm really pumped up for it. So before we do that, let me introduce you guys to our panel. We got some existing members from Collectors Assemble Live, and we have some new guests come on the show. You know that we're always having rotating panels and stuff, but I'm excited because we got a really big guest as well, a friend of mine coming on to join us as well from overseas. But let's start with Mr. Kennedy in the building. What's up, sir? How are you?
How's it going?
Good, man. I'm happy to have you on, although I don't like that jersey.
Don't be mad. There's plenty of room on the bus.
Phillies all day. Phillies all day. But man, how you been? Good?
Yeah, so far so good. It's a good day. We got a good panel, good topics.
I'm excited. You want to introduce your favorite panel member?
Oh, my favorite panel member. Yes. You mean Comic-Con, Artist Alley Comic-Con's own super artist extraordinaire, the emperor, the god emperor of Artist Alley himself, Sean Carlson.
Sean Carlson is in the building. Don't hide, bro. What's up, dude?
Speaking of intros, listen, I'm not in the lofty category of getting my own video introduction. What happened to that, Miguel?
You're in there. Oh, you mean like the package, like when we do intros?
Mr. K.
I know. I want to do that for everybody. I should do something like that. That's a good idea. But we got to figure it out. Maybe I'll have a video of Kennedy just introducing you.
That will not be. No. I will not allow that. I do have something in mind. All
right. Well, we'll talk about it. I'm down to do that. But man, I'm excited to have you on, man.
Yeah, same. Excited to be here. Nice little break. The change up of day and time. Nice little change of pace, and yeah, really excited to get to talk to our guest today.
Yeah, let's go. All right. We have one of my good friends, man. I love watching his channel, guys. He's one of the best, man. I know, you know, I say that, and I don't want you to think it's because he's on now, but I watch his show a lot, guys. Collector Joey's in the building. Austin, all them. You're on mute, Joey.
Yeah.
The mic, but...
Oh, no, I do. My dog's barking right now. So
okay. Well, sorry. My birds are chirping. You're good.
Yeah. Okay. What's up? I'm glad. Thank you for having me, man. We have an awesome guest today, so I'm really excited about that.
I'm excited. So this is up your alley. So I brought a world of statue collectors and 6-scale collectors to collide for this show. So I'm excited about that. Speaking of 6-scale collectors, we got another one that I watch all the time, whether it's on his show or the Wolfpack guys. It's Evil Sneaker in the building. What's up, brother?
What is up, guys? Miguel, thanks so much for having me on, bro. Good to meet you guys. Joey, good to see you again. We're going to have another one, obviously, my good friends here, but really excited to talk to Joost. I've been listening to a lot of the stuff, you know, that he's said in the past with various interviews. I'm in his group on Facebook, so excited to kind of learn more about him as well. And just yeah, man, thanks so much for inviting me on.
Of course, dude. And I know you have one of his products, so I'm excited to hear a little bit more about that, even though I heard about it when you got it. But yeah, man, let's get somebody for the first time on our show, Dilo the Collector, part of the Wolf Pack. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up, everybody? Miguel, thank you so much for the invite. It's super cool to be here today. First time getting to chat with everybody here, except my boys Joe and Sneaker. You know you guys. I know you local. But yeah, when I heard about the opportunity to jump on this panel, I did not hesitate. I was like, sign me up. So thank you so much for this today. I appreciate it.
Of course, man. Glad to have you on as well. We got somebody who's a close friend of mine. I talk to him every day, I swear. Even though he's all the way on the other side of the states, but he probably has almost every single piece from Jazzinc. And when I tell you that I have heard more from this guy than I have probably the Facebook group or anything else when it comes to these collectibles, it's going to be from this guy because he really admires all the work put into these things. Ladies and gentlemen, low-key collector in the building. Look at that. He's already showing them off in the background. Wow. This guy.
I mean,
what's up, dude?
Cool of him. So, what's up, everybody? How you guys doing?
What you eating? You know, that's my first question all the time.
Rabbit food. I literally just got in the house, so some bacon and some lettuce. Like, I'm selling this no sugar diet, but I'm down 9 pounds. Not that I have a weight problem.
Not bad. Congrats.
Good for you.
All right. Very good. Very good.
You know, just health conscious. So my wife's pissed. She's like, "That's not fair. You didn't even do anything. You just didn't eat." I'm like, "Yes, that easy."
I'm glad you made it on after last night's 100 episode of LWO. I heard you guys were getting a little tipsy there.
Frisco, so I didn't drink. I had to drive home from Frisco, so I literally just walked in the door. So I have to be here. But I made it. All right,
cool. Guys, listen, my next guest, man, I can't tell you more about him. If you don't know who he is, you're in a cave, man. It's he's for me, he's a friend in the hobby. You know, we don't talk as much, but you know, he's been there when I started, and I've been doing this for a while. I'm considered one of the OGs. He's even an older G than me. And he actually helped, a lot of people don't know this, but he helped my daughter get her first XM Studios piece from XM Studios, the Spider-Gwen. Somebody even made a portrait of her and the Spider-Gwen together, but he had a big role to play in that. And you know, I've always watched him from way back when, man, and he's just a good person in the community, very knowledgeable. You know, just like me, he knows a lot of things, like when it has to do with the backside of things with collecting the you know, in the hobby, aside from the collectibles, you know, things with licensing and factories and you know, how everything kind of runs on the back end that collectors or customers or viewers might not know about. He's very knowledgeable in that. And he's one half of Radd Titan. Ladies and gentlemen, Alex is in the building, taking time from his new home that he just got and his new baby. Congratulations on both.
I don't know. This is still the old house. I'm in the process of moving to the new one, but I don't know if I can live up to that intro, though. That was quite an intro there. And
it's true, man. It's true.
That's what they do to you here.
Yeah, no, wow. It's like a major fluffing going on there. Wow, great. I'll come on in more often now. But I'd love to do a lot more of the chats. But the problem is always the time, and this kind of time is perfect for me, though. This is like the ideal time. I was in the process of moving house, loading up a van, and it was just a perfect time to take a break and come on the chat, meet everyone, and looking forward to it. Thanks.
Hey, I'm excited, man. Listen, in the near future, I would love to get you and Gio on, especially Gio. But we were thinking of doing a what did we call it? The showing your Bowens.
Yep.
Do a whole Bowen show with a couple collectors and stuff. But man,
we'd love to do that. I mean, I collected the Bowen. I've only ever collected the busts, really. But then I kind of got back into it recently and got back into it quite heavy and got like 150 of the busts. So once I move house, it'll be great to have them all set up and on display. And it'd be fantastic to go through them. Really underrated. You get fantastic deals on them, but that's not what this chat's about. But okay, we'll do it sometime in the future.
We'll do something in the near future when you're settled into the new house and stuff, and we'll figure something out. But man, let's get to our guest. I don't want to keep him waiting, guys. Like I said before, there's no affiliation with me and him. This is actually the first time I ever talked to him. You know, obviously we know each other from the hobby. I know who he is. He kind of heard rumblings of me. But like I said before, you know, I admire his work as a collector, as a fan, as, you know, as anything really. And like I said, I have friends all around the world that has his pieces. And, you know, obviously we've talked about it on our live show when they come out and the POs start. And man, I just can't wait to talk to him and what this company is all about. Ladies and gentlemen, some say that this guy actually does the Batmobiles for Bruce Wayne. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen. Joost is in the building. What's up, man? How are you? Thank you for being on a Saturday out of all days. Thank you so much, man.
It's my pleasure. And Alex, I know how you feel. How can I do anything but disappoint after that intro? Right?
Hey, man, I'm excited. I mean, look at that. Hold on. Let me. I mean, I know people have seen this before, but look at this, man. Look at that background. God.
Set up.
Wow. It doesn't even look real. That's amazing.
I know.
Beautiful.
It looks really good. Is that like an actual room or is it a picture?
No, this is my showroom.
Bro, what?
Yeah, I thought it was like green screen for a second.
Working
like a
with
stock photo behind you.
Yeah. No. This is us. This is the stuff. Here's the new 1989. So yeah, this is our showroom. So if you're in the neighborhood, we've received people from many countries already, from the States, from France, from Australia, from Germany, of course, which is pretty close. So you're always welcome to come by.
Hey, you never know. I travel a lot. I'm down. That'll be very cool. But man, thank you so much for being on. Listen, we probably got a lot to talk about, so we're just gonna get the ball rolling. So because you're new to Toy Quest 101, obviously, for those who don't know, I'm more of a statue guy, although I do 6-scale reviews and partner up with some companies in that aspect. But I want to kind of introduce you to my viewers, and especially for some of the people on the panel as well. I want to start from like the beginning, kind of like the origins of Jazzinc, or maybe how you even started in the hobby and got your idea to start, a company, and then eventually make our way up to the present. But talk to us a little bit about yourself, how you kind of got started, collecting. And then from there, like what made you kind of start this company and start doing these amazing dioramas and 6-scale figures?
Okay. So for some of you online, you might have heard this, so I'll keep it short, but geek all my life, loved Star Wars. My Uncle Ben got me into that, and we're way off in the east of the Netherlands, so that's a big nowhere. And so there wasn't a lot available. The first time I saw Star Wars was on a legal VHS copy because we didn't even have a video rental place.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So anyway, and he's the first collector I knew. He got he got everything from Kenner, and he got everything twice and kept it 1 mint in the box, and then the other one he cut it out real carefully. So that was the first time I saw what collecting was all about. I had a bunch of the Kenner stuff, but I sold it when I got out of high school, and so that was then I loved movies. I worked at a video store and everything, but I didn't collect until YouTube randomly, I think 2013, suggested a sideshow tour booth at San Diego Comic-Con, and they showed the video with the Hot Toys stuff and their own premium format statues. I remember that was the year where they had Sauron and the rider, Dark Rider on the horse, and I was blown away. I didn't know that was possible. Again, backwoods in the Netherlands, we don't get a lot of that stuff ever. And so I started collecting when I saw that, because a whole new world opened to me. Went back and forth between the premium format and the 6-scale a bunch of times, and then stuck with the 6-scale because it allowed me to get more into the same space. And what I really liked was you could repose, and it's like you have a new collectible, right? And then I also love just hobbying around. I did, even when I worked, I built companies for a living, so. I always needed a hobby project each year, and a friend of mine from the Netherlands who was also on the Dutch Collectors Forum, he showed me Hot Toys inside a diorama, and I'm like, dude, that's cool. And so I remember, because it was January 1st, I was driving to my little cousin's birthday, and my wife was driving, and I got that picture, and I said, honey, I got my project for this year. So that's when I built this. This is what later became the Ultimate Death Star diorama. which is like, I don't know, 4 foot. And it was room for, I don't know, 8 figures or something. It was around the time that Hot Toys got the Star Wars license and started doing the figures. And so, and I posted that on what was back then it called the Sideshow Freaks Forum. Yeah, that exactly. And people were started to lose their shit. And they're like, "Oh, can I buy that? Are you selling that?" And I was, "No, man. I got a family. I've got a dog. I was coaching soccer back then. I built companies. I had a day job. I like playing guitar. I had a lot of things going on. It was like, so it's not going to happen." But people kept asking and asking, and I always say this. It was I counted back. Number 36 was a guy from France. And he was like, "Why not?" And I said, "Well, there's a couple of reasons. Well, first of all, if you're shipping a diorama, you're shipping out a lot of air. It's just a lot of space. Second of all, these things aren't designed to be shipped. Third of all, it's a lot of time to assemble these things. I mean, I'd worked on this from the design to getting everything machined, writing the CNC programs to painting, weathering, electronics, and all that sort of thing. Wow. It took me about 8 months or something, right?" And he was like, "Well, why don't you do it like IKEA and I'll solve 3 problems for you?" I'm like, "Okay, what do you mean?" He said, "Well, if you flat pack it, you're not shipping a lot of air. You're not worried about breaking something that's been assembled because it's not assembled yet. And it saves you a lot of time because you don't have to do the assembly. You just redesign it so it's assemblable, make a manual and a video, and try that." And I was like, "All right, I could try that." And I was like, "You know what? If you get 12 people together, we'll talk." And within 24 hours, he was back. Like, I got 12 people. So, okay.
Wow.
And I had to
it started with Star Wars.
Yeah. Because I'm a Star Wars geek first and foremost. Or used to be anyway. But yeah. So it had to be Star Wars. It kind of grew from there, because the other beautiful thing was my dad had just retired and he was kind of bored, and he was like, "You know what? you got a day job. Teach me how to do that stuff." And I like, "Seriously?" "Yeah, airbrushing and weathering and soldering and all that sort of thing. And I'll do the stuff and we'll just pack it up together," because it's huge box. I mean, that diorama right there, the first one, it was 36 kilograms, which would be around 80 pounds or something, because it's all solid aluminum. Yeah.
Wow.
So imagine shipping that.
Yeah. So, and we shipped that. We shipped a bunch of them. I think we ended up shipping like 30 worldwide of these first ones.
At this stage, I'm just curious. At this stage, like many hobbyists and early on, you're just working from, I assume, still shots from the movies, right? You don't have any inside information or schematics from anything like that.
No, I would say that's true for most of the stuff we do today.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, anything before anything before 2022 Batman, Warner Bros. Doesn't really have models or anything. So anything before the 2022 was designed based on lots of research, lots of designs, and the iterative process. For the people who are in my Facebook group, they know I just post designs, and then because the fans know more than most of the people on set.
That's true sometimes.
So, that's how we design that.
And that's pretty impressive, because a lot of your stuff is spot on too. Like, it's very, obviously it's very popular amongst fans and stuff. And for you to just have it as something coming off of, you being a fan, or obviously, the customers out there, that's pretty impressive. And then I have some other pictures here too, of some of the other projects you did with Star Wars. I know the cockpit one was a popular one. That's a nice one. But you want to talk to us a little bit about these guys?
Oh yeah, well, this is a way down the line, because basically what happened was people were starting asking for more dioramas, like, could you do the Tantive? And like, okay, we can do that, because it's really just a grassroots thing. And then they started, because we did a lot of dioramas first. So that was the Death Star, the Tantive, the carbon freezing chamber, Death Star window. So basically which I call those 2.5D. So anything I could have machined on a CNC machine and then assemble to make it look good. And then people were asking, can you do a vehicle? And they were asking for the land speeder. And so we had to figure out how to do that. And that's more like you can't CNC that. Well, you can technically, but that would take months. So we got in touch with companies that could do like resin casting for real limited edition stuff, like the Land Speeder was like, I don't know, 50 pieces or something like that worldwide. And so then we learned how to work with more complex shapes, and then more stuff was possible. So then after that, we could do the cockpit. And then after that, we did the Snow Speeder, I think, which is still very limited edition, so much resin based. But then everything is like a new challenge. So for the cockpit, we designed a custom PCB electronics with speakers so that you can have sounds playing. And then we need to figure out how do you build this thing and wire it up with more than 300 LEDs, do the paint job with the tiny, tiny white lines, right? I mean, it's so, yeah. And every time we learned stuff, and that took us further into the next project, and we can take that and make things more and more complicated, which is what we've been doing ever since, right?
Yeah, I feel like you know, it's funny. Before you came on, I was talking to these guys, and I feel like, and we'll talk a little bit more about this later, but I feel like you haven't even scratched the potential of where you want to be at with your ideas that are coming out of your brain to do some of these things. Because if I understand correctly, you just started being in the green as a company and making profit. What, like the beginning of this year, maybe last year?
Last year was the first time I made profit. So the good thing is I had a good job all these years, like 25 years, built a couple of companies. So I didn't need to do this for the money.
Right.
And so the company, and so that's why, because people are always like, how can you do these things when other companies can't do it? Well, our profit margins are really thin. And we don't need a lot, right? We have like a fully integrated business column. So we do everything from the design and prototyping to managing production, doing direct sales. So there's no overhead. There's no unnecessary. And because I mean, retail and wholesale alone for sales will take 60% if you have both, right, of the MSRP before you can even start. So, yeah, and so if you just make a real because that's what I always did. All my companies were really into niche fields, and then just go back to square one and say, okay, what do we need, what don't we need, and just take that out. So.
Right. Now, the only reason why I felt that was important to mention was because for two reasons. Number one, you can tell how passionate he is. Anybody who's just doing this as a fan, you know, to not only, you know, help himself out as far as the fandom goes, but as well as customers or viewers or other fans out there in the community. Like, he's doing this out of the passion that he has to build these vehicles. He just started hitting profit now, or you know, and getting some last year. Yeah. So imagine now that if we keep supporting him and stuff, and he keeps turning green, you know, in the next following years, I mean, the sky's the limit. I'm waiting for you to build your own Batmobile and start selling that right now, like or life-size one. You know what I mean?
I'll say, like, that passion that you have is probably really high, because if it was me making these things, I probably would have made the Falcon cockpit and been like, this is just mine. I'm not doing anything. I'm not making this for anybody else or anything. So that passion for Star Wars is up there, man.
So let me ask Radd Titan. I know, you know, me and Rad come up, you know, from statues, and I mean, we've kind of seen it all. What are your thoughts on some of these early things that he's done? I know if you caught wind of this before, of his Star Wars stuff, and eventually we'll get to the DC stuff because that's what's hot now. But what are your thoughts on seeing some of the things in his craftsmanship and the details that he has on these pieces?
No, I think they look absolutely fantastic. And I mean, going back to what Joost was saying, I mean, first of all, you're from Netherlands. You have no accent at all.
Too many movies, man.
Yeah.
Would you say too many movies?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's what a lot of people, when you meet people from there, they say they learn English from movies, and their English is normally fantastic when you speak to them, but they normally have a bit of an accent. And I can't pick up any accent from your side there. But going into it, I mean, that was something as well. We spoke to a few other companies, and they're struggling, and it's, you know, they're not keeping their business very lean, and they're trying to spend on a lot of unnecessary things. And to have that kind of mindset as well is important to have. I think a lot of people, when they want to expand too quickly, they want to do too many things, and it all kind of backfires, and you can't keep up with it. I mean, I think people don't realize like the complication of a lot of these things, and also the costs with some of the factories, and then licensing. Warner Brothers especially, like you have to pay in advance, and it's so complicated behind the scenes, and people just don't know that side of it. They just think, oh, this company's making X, it costs Y. Oh my God, they're so greedy. They don't have that.
That's true.
But again, just looking back over the pieces you've done, the Falcon, the cockpit looks absolutely fantastic. The detail in there, but going into something like Star Wars, for example, you're going to get a lot of support, but then you're going to get the ultra fans who are just really going to attack you and go, "Oh my God, there's meant to be 3 LEDs in that line, and you put 4." So, how much, how extreme has some of that been? Dealing with that.
Yeah, but that's not even Star Wars. That's just the 6-scale community for anything. And now that we've grown into figures, it's gotten even worse. Somebody actually made a joke there that some of them would like you to move like 3 atoms to the left or right. That always stuck with me. But how crazy has this gotten? Well, we've had discussion about the thread pattern and thread count on tires. We've had discussion about the exact location of a decal on a fire extinguisher, even though there's several examples where it's all over the place. And I can tell you stories you would not believe.
I can imagine. I've worked for a handful of companies as well. One of the ones was I worked for XM Studios, one of the statue companies, and we used to get you get very excited when you get to a point. You get really excited about that product. You want to show it to people. You take a picture, and sometimes it's not the best picture. It's not the best angle. You put it out there, and you get a lot of hate, and you get a lot of people going, "Oh my God, you need to adjust this. You need the eyes here. You need to do this. You need to do that." Yeah. And there's been several times where we've said, like, because I was doing their marketing, where we've replied back and we've gone, we appreciate the feedback. We take it on board, and we're going to make adjustments. The piece comes out, gets delivered, and people go, "Oh my God, I'm so glad XM listened to those comments." The truth is, nothing was changed at all. It was just sent out the way it was, and it was just the pictures were taken to a certain way. And people think that it's been changed, and some of the times actually nothing's been changed at all. And then when they get it in hands, "Oh my God, I'm so glad they listened to us. Otherwise, the eyes would have been off, or this would have been off, and that would have been off." It's like, yeah, okay, good.
Yeah, well. There's a lot of feedback that is very useful. There's a lot of feedback that's absolute nonsense. And there are so many people who are really self-proclaimed experts, and they can just sit from behind the couch and look at a 720p video or something and say, and even give technical advice about molding and say that we're being stupid or phoning it in or being lazy. And it baffles me, especially the anger and the vitriol that can come with that. That's something. I can't wrap my mind around that. But I got a message, it was a couple of weeks ago, from someone, and he said, you have to think about this, because he was seeing all the hate and the negativity, and it's like, you have to consider your audience. And these are very passionate people, but they're also a bit OCD, most of them, very detailed focused, and they're very so basically, in that type of personality, anxiety is usually a lot higher than your average, and so that's what you're seeing and what you're getting back. And he was naming an example where he found out he loved comics. He collected a bunch of them until he got so many, and they became so valuable that the whole thing, instead of a hobby, became more stressful for him, and he sold everything. And I thought, wow. That's some mighty self-reflection there. But just to give that perspective of that passion and the type of people and the personalities in this group, and I'm like, okay, I understand. And then if I understand, then I can let it go. I'm listening.
I think you're being a little bit too polite about it in a way as well, because the other side of it as well is it's mostly men. it's mostly men who collect in this thing, but it's mostly men with, you know, this money that they're buying things that reminds them of their childhood, and men in general are not the most mature people at times, and I admit it for myself. I mean, Miguel and I, we deal with a lot of drama within the statue community, but
for sure.
the 1/6 side, I mean, Sideshow sent us, I think, a couple of Star Wars pieces, and Deadpool, and a couple of other pieces, and we like the hate we got for receiving those when we're not like 1/6 people, and then also on top of that, we like. Me and my channel partner, we tried to display them, and we just could not do it at all. We just could not put them in any of the positions that look any good. So from that side, we have this opposite of what you say about, you know, you can put the figure anywhere and you can get a whole new display, and it's amazing. Between me and my friend, we're so absolutely useless that we can't pose them in any way that looks any good. That we love the statue because it's in a way where we can't change that. You can switch out an arm or a head, and that's how it's meant to be. And someone's done it for us. But with the figures, we're terrible at it.
It takes a lot of patience and futzing and doing and redoing and experience. That's true.
And
but you know,
the Deadpool, they added some ratchet as well. That every time you bent it a certain way, it clicked and sounded like it was snapping. And we were just like, we don't like that. Don't like that.
I understand. Yeah, but it's the weird thing because, again, keeping the company lean, we don't have an influencer program. We don't have the money to give away a lot of these stuff to get reviews, right? So recently, when we did, so we're probably going to be getting to this in the future, later in the episode, but we sent out a test batch of the 1989 to people who volunteered, but these people had paid for it. And those were, a couple of them were YouTubers. And the hate that they got, and that we were buying their opinion, and it's completely unfounded, to where a couple of the YouTubers were like, hey, look, this is the invoice. I paid for this. And I'm like, you shouldn't even have to say that or prove that or anything. I mean, anyway, well, I know what you mean.
Hey, well, since we're on the topic.
Oh yeah, I was going to say, can I?
Go ahead. Say
I was going to say, I wanted to ask, kind of piggybacking off of what Radd Titan was saying, is that so since we get it seems like your products are always under a microscope, like you're saying right now. Does that ever discourage you whenever making a new product? Does that make you like, oh, I mean, like, I don't know what the community is going to think, or like every move you make, it seems like it's under a microscope. So does that make you very cautious or things like that?
Yeah, but yes, of course. But you can't live like that, because then you would never get anywhere. The thing is, and you know what? And this is my wife's theory, because she was upset about the unjustness of these things. Exactly. We talked about this during dinner an hour ago, and she was like, and you can't even defend yourself, because even if you do, you always lose. But so and she was like, but it's almost like right now, because we did the 89, and that's the first time that there's a competing product, right? And then there's now 2 or 3 YouTubers who've also done side-by-side comparisons, and that's just upped the ante and the anger so much more, because a lot of people are invested one way or the other. And whatever happens, somebody's going to feel like they need to defend themselves, apparently, and they defend themselves by attacking us, and it's
not fair.
Mind-boggling,
because I've seen the negativity too on like the Jazzinc Facebook page, and if I saw that, I would just be like, screw you guys, you know, I'm leaving. But I'm really glad that you're still like sticking in there and trying.
They're not getting me down. No.
Yeah. I'm glad.
I think it's one of those things as well, because we've had this before, where with the statue side, say they released like a really high run of a Wolverine statue, which we actually reviewed, and it was like, in total, it was say 6,000 pieces, maybe even 9,000 pieces for like one of the Batman pieces. Wow. When we review that and we say, with the Wolverine one, it was like, this is going to lean. And we actually said, like, this is, I guarantee in 3 or 4 years' time, you're going to get people complaining that this is going to be leaning. And the amount of hate we got for that, because there's 6,000 people invested in that product, and you've just told them they've wasted their money. And the product did lean in quite a lot of cases as well. And I think as well with this, because you release such low limited runs,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people are never going to see these in hand. They have the loyalty of brand loyalty to Hot Toys or to another company that they're going to be like, no, it's a rival to my loyalty to this brand I love and whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that's the total wrong way to be. I mean, I think, again, I'm going to go statue side. Whenever you go into a collection of a statue collector, the best collections are the ones that have variety. If they all have XM Studios, Sideshow, Prime One, or Queen, you can pick up on those pieces that they are by the same company. You can just see there's these similarities, especially with some of the older Sideshow pieces, especially with the XM pieces as well. You just see that, and it becomes a bit boring. And when you have that variety, it kind of makes it, for me, it makes it a better collection. It makes it a much better collection for me.
Yeah.
But that's just my idea.
Hey, so I want to, we kind of skipped ahead, but we're on it. So let's address the elephant in the room, because I kind of wanted to talk about it and I didn't want to talk about it, but I also wanted to just put it to rest. So I want to talk about the 89 Batmobile, and eventually we'll go back to kind of, where we were at earlier. But I want to talk about the Batman89 Batmobile that came out. So you did something differently this time around, and you decided to do like a test batch, right? And that was the first time you ever did that with any vehicle. And what was your mindset when you decided to do that? Just to hear it from you.
Okay, I'm glad you asked. So we're trying to learn and be better every time, because we know everybody's going to be extra critical. And so what we found is that ironing out both quality control issues, but more importantly, issues that can happen after things leave the factory, it's impossible to simulate everything. So we're always surprised. And it was like, my wife has this saying, we don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to happen, So there's something, always something, and you're never prepared for it. And so what we thought with this 89, since it's the biggest thing yet, why don't we introduce, and I've been saying this for every interview for the last 6 months, so this is nothing new. You can go back to my interview with Shane Talty, and he even volunteered for it. So that's one of the examples where we've always been open about this. So the test batch was that we're making 12. In this case, we thought 40, but we ended up making 12 pieces, and they were perfect when they left the factory, and we're going to ship them out to the people who said they wanted to be in that test batch. And I've now learned that I should do that differently next time. So the test batch is staying because some things popped up. So some of the things we did, we started off by, one of our suppliers is a packaging expert that does nothing but design our packaging. And then we started doing the drop tests that are required by FedEx. There's a standard for that. Anyway, so that didn't cover everything. So then we got a shaker table and put that thing on there for days and did the drop tests 20 times on every angle. Still didn't get out everything. So then for the 1989, we put it on the tin roof of the factory for a week, got to 60 degrees, which is 140 degrees Fahrenheit.
Wow.
I kid you not. I can show you the video.
Yeah, no, I believe you.
And so we're doing all these things. And then, this is one of the things that gets me, that people like, how could they not predict this? You don't know the shit we go through to get this right. Yeah. So anyway, we did the test batch. We sent it out all over the world, from Australia to America and Europe and everything in between. And lo and behold, the shaker table test and the drop test did not show that the way the packaging worked was causing some kind of rubbing in the paint. And so we sold our shaker table, got a lot bigger and a lot stronger one that's working now. And so the mistake.
Now hold on, Joost, not to interrupt you. Hold on, because I before we get to what we found out. Now, when you and I apologize to interrupt you, but when you I just want to make this clear for everybody, because I think this is where people don't understand what's going on. So the purpose of the test batch, for those who might not know or are casual viewer or customer was exactly what it's meant to be. Is a test batch is to find out what flaws could happen during shipping or what things could happen when they arrive at the customer or at the end of their destination. Guys, I have a really cool UPS guy. That dude handles my stuff like it's own. My FedEx guy is a piece of shit. Okay. He'll throw stuff across my yard if he could. Okay. So there's a lot of things that come into play that are sometimes not out of our control. So just understand what a test batch is for, okay? Because I think it accomplished what it was supposed to do. Now, before we get into what we found out, which I know I interrupted you in. Now, when you selected the test batch group, a lot of them were influencers, a lot of them influencers that are my friends that I watch personally. I jump on their streams as well. Now, were they meant to do a review right away? Or were they supposed to, if there was anything wrong, let's get it fixed and then do a review? Like, was there like maybe a miscommunication there? Because I know some of these guys, and I used to be like that back in the day where I wanted to be the first to show something. And sometimes that it's not always great to show something first. And, it's just not a thing. But was there like what was the process with that? So first off, another thing too is, guys, I got really upset when I heard people saying that they got stuff for free, and I didn't know anything about this until I start hearing these rumors. And I'm like, first off, and I'm allowed to say this. You want to know why? 98% of the shit that I have in my house is free. I don't pay for my stuff. I've been fortunate enough to partner with companies, and do these reviews, and it's been going on for years, and I love it, right? But these guys paid in full and they paid in advance. So the fact that was a rumor, that was started by somebody, okay? And that grew fire, okay? And I think that's the other thing I want to add to that is that shouldn't even be a thing. Why do you care whether somebody got something free or not? In my opinion, you guys should be grateful that somebody has something that they could review for you or test out for you ahead of time, for in anticipation of the one that you might be getting or plan to get in the future. And I think that's and I've always said this, there's a responsibility that a viewer or a customer should have when watching reviews, when making a determination whether it's something for them or not. Because when and Alex could probably attest to this, when I want something, right? Me personally, if I'm going to buy something out of my pocket, right? I don't just look at one review. It depends on what I'm looking for. You know what I mean? Like, I'll probably look at Gem Mint or Alex or somebody out there or Collector Joey. Like, Collector Joey is the reason why I got the Hot Toys, bike from the Batman film. It was because of him. But like, you have a responsibility to take it upon yourself, regardless of whether Collector Joey got it for free, whether he bought it, whether he thinks it's amazing and it's really crap. Like, you still have a responsibility upon yourself to do that. Nobody's forcing you to watch these videos or take in these opinions. There's some people that I watch on mute, to be honest with you. And
I do think it's important that reviewer says that they got it for free. I do think that is a big thing that is lacking, especially in our hobby, with some of the people you mentioned. If you get something for free, you mentioned you got it for free, and also because you have that relationship with that company, you should still be pointing out the good and the bad. Right. That's actually lost us a few relationships because we've always been very honest about what is good and what's bad about things. So some companies, they like it when it's all going well, and as soon as there's a problem, they don't want to know anymore. So going back to the kind of QC and sending things out on the testing side of things, there's a load of things as well that people don't take into consideration. Is like when you store things in Asia, you have them in the warehouses that are ridiculously hot, like really hot, very hot. You then ship them either via air, which then makes something going from a very, very hot environment, shipped around potentially in a van or a lorry, and then put into a plane in a cargo where it goes ridiculously cold. So you're kind of going hot and cold. And then the other side of that is if you then send it via the ship, you're then introducing a lot of moisture, which hasn't been there originally as well. And it's salt water, which can cause a lot of problems, a lot of corrosion. a lot of issues. So there's all these things that people, need to be aware of that actually happens between where the QC happens to when you receive it. Going back to the point of where you've said that you did a test batch, I think one of the issues that will always come up, and is one of the things that we've always suspected as well as a reviewer, sorry, both phones beeping, is that when you receive an AP or whatever it is as a review product, it's always in the back of your mind that I wonder if they spend more time on that QC because they know it's going to a reviewer. And there's always that side of it that will always come up, no matter if it did or it didn't happen. And there's always going to be people making those accusations.
Yeah, and I think that's what happened. So going back to that, obviously there was nobody ever said they got it for free. That wasn't even a thing. They paid ahead of time, and somebody took that and ran with it, whatever the case is. I mean, in my opinion, I've always said, everybody knows that, I partner up with companies. That's always been a thing. But in my opinion, I don't think it should matter whether they got it for free or not. But in this case, they did. They paid for it ahead of time. Now, were they supposed to do a review on it the minute they got it, or were they just testing it out? And then if something happened, were they supposed to wait to actually do the review on the product being, finalized the way it's supposed to be?
Yeah. All right. So I've once read a book by Michael Crichton about an air crash, and it's never one thing. So it's always an amalgamation of a lot of things coming together. That's basically what happened here. So first thing, I got overconfident. We'd done a lot of products with the 2022. We had 4 people had issues with the 95. It was like around that, and for the 1995 we did like 550, and so 4 issues is less than 1%. And I'm like, we're finally getting it. We're getting it, and we're learning. And we'd done even more steps for the 1989, and so I was like, these things are good. I'd sent a Dutch team to the factory, because usually what we do is we get the stuff and we finish it in the Netherlands, but and then we send it out. But then you send it back for everybody who's on that side of the world. And we were like, you know what, we can combine it now. And we sent a Dutch team of 5 people that have been in the Asia factory for the finishing. They did the final assembly, finishing, quality control, and packing, right? The Dutch. So those are the guys that have been doing the quality control, everything coming out of ours for 2 or 3 years now. So I was like, we got this. And I was like, I was kind of sure it would arrive in pretty good condition. So I did say, if there's an issue, talk to me. The whole thing was that we could make final tweaks before we send it out, because so there was that was with the cockpit, where the group voted on being able to remove the plexiglass, and then people lose their shit because that led to 2 visible screws. And so I was like, okay, I'll change it back. And then even more people lost their shit, because now there's people who have the screws and people who don't have the screws. And I'm like, since then, I'm not doing any more changes once things have gone into production. So now I was like, if I have the test batch out there and there's things I want to change, I can still do that, because then starting from batch 1, people will get the same product, right? So that was the overconfidence right there. And then when it started arriving, so some people had issues, not all of them. So the people who didn't have issues did the review. And then, but especially the American test batch. And I think, and it's what Alex said too, there must somewhere along the way, there were a couple of Americans, and it might have just been one depot where it was left out in the rain. So there were a couple of them that were wet. And then we had the issues with the rubbing.
That happens with statues too, by the way. Somebody asked that in the comments. Actually, on our live show, one of my guys got a Scarlet Witch with water inside of the base. It was the weirdest thing ever. And he got another one, and it happened again. And eventually it kind of like dried out, or they sent him another one. But go ahead, continue.
Yeah. So I talked to the guys, and I was like, and they asked, what do you want to do? And I said, you know what? because it's going to lead to a whole bunch of questions, because we get like 50 to 100 emails and messages a day, right? If everybody thinks they're going to get the paint rub, or with the canopy alignment that came from the pressure during shipment, so I was like, you know what, we're going to fix these issues, redesign the packaging, redesign the silicone feet underneath the legs of the canopy, do a couple of other things, send you what's going to be the final production version. Right. Yeah. So the guns, we've added a velvet-like material so that they stick up better. So if you don't pull, they fall down. But if you pull hard like this, it'll just stick up right there. So we fix those things, and then people get a great product, right? But then, because a couple of the YouTubers were like, they had announced that our stuff was coming, they were like, people were like, where's the reviews? What's going on? What are you hiding? What? And so it got really ugly really fast. Some of you might have seen that. And so they were like, you know what? We're going to have to put out the reviews as is. And so then we got reviews that showed a test version that is not representative of what people will be getting. And we got more shit. So basically, whatever happens, you can't win, right? So that's basically the story. So it's the overconfidence, together with the fact that the reviews were announced, and I asked them to wait until I get a couple of weeks to send them the final version with the adjustments. And people were like, "What's going on? What are you hiding? Why is what's being covered up?" And that's how the stuff got
about. Yeah. So a couple of things with that, so obviously just a bit of miscommunication. And guys, and I just want to point this out. And a lot of these guys, could probably say the same thing. We, I come with a high-end collectible statues, they could be quite expensive. And there's a lot of companies out there that just don't communicate with you guys like Joost is. You know what I mean? High dollar companies like that are like, I don't see Hot Tours or J&D or doing any of that. And, I feel like sometimes I just hope that we don't ruin it. You know what I mean? Because you guys got something going on that's really good, because not only does he sit there and listen to you guys, or come on a Saturday, afternoon from his life with his family to come on a stream and talk about stuff like this, but like, he's going on there and explaining himself or answering questions that have already been asked. So again, just take it upon your responsibility to look and do your research and stuff. And I think this all did get blown out of proportion. I think no company is going to be perfect. You know what I mean? Like it's not like there's not one company that I've seen that has not ran into issues. And the good thing about it is you have somebody who's willing to listen, willing to take all that, criticism and fix it as well. And listen, I'm not saying I'm not saying it's bad for you to express your opinion, but there are some ways to do it, and there's other ways not to do it. And you got a great Facebook group that's very, very active with both community members and people who have the stuff in hand, and of course Joost as well. So you did find some things that went on with the vehicle, and where these last two videos are some of the things that you're doing to fix them. So you fixed the guns, right?
Yeah.
And what are some of the other things you guys decided to fix?
Well, we fixed we redesigned the silicone feet underneath the canopy. So we put silicone feet on there because otherwise they would be scraping inside the cockpit, right? And so that didn't go well, and so we redesigned that, and those are going to be done in about 2 weeks. And then so there's, with the new packaging, the velvet around the ways, so the gun stick. Oh yeah, and then we had magnets for the bat symbols on the wheels is another thing. So there's two ways to do that. So if you look at the way the Hot Toys did it, they basically integrated it, the bat symbol into the wheel well. But you're with release angles and everything, you're limited to how deep you can extrude that logo. and so it doesn't go all the way to the back, which is not movie accurate, and that's kind of our thing. Plus, we wanted to make a die cast, so we got a separate logo, and we put that on there with magnets. Now, that is, because of the weight, it isn't the ideal solution. So the other reason why we couldn't put them on from the factory is because they stick out, and then during our shake tests, we found that the logos would break off just because of the weight and the way that they stick out. So it's not an option to either glue them on or whatever during production and put them in the box, because that would lead to breakages every a couple of customers, and you can't have that. So then we were like, okay, we're going to do it with magnets. It's not the best solution. So now we're still offering the magnets for the people who don't want to permanently attach them. But we're also adding automotive grade 3M, so you can just put them on and they won't come off ever again. So so we fixed the attachment of the logos, which were off for a reason. We fixed the silicone feet to get the canopy alignment correct. And we fixed the packaging so that there's no more paint rub, and then we can send out the final unit.
Nice. And I have some pictures here from Calvin, who actually went to, was it whose house did you go to Figure
Craft Philly's
yeah
house.
So these are actually in hand at his house. He went to check it out, so you guys can just kind of see the size of this. And
wow.
I kind of want to get Calvin to speak on this, because obviously these are his pictures. He was there. So what? And you ordered this as well, right? This is like your 10th freaking thing from them. I think you have some stake in the company at this point. But what? Look at that. That's Philly's son, right? And that's Uncle Calvin, and that thing is huge. But talk to us about your experience with, the products that you had with Jazzinc, and you seeing this for the first time before you got yours.
I've started back from the BVS mobile when he wasn't licensed. I've got 2 of those. And like someone in the chat said, every progression by every piece has gotten better and better. I know there's people out there that just throw hate out there just to throw hate. You're always going to have the hot toys versus, the smaller guy. But you've always taken care of me. And actually, one of my pieces for my Canon, I think I reached out to you about a year after I purchased it. I was like, I know this is about a year late, but my Canon doesn't quite fit right. It's angling down. And you're like, show me a video. And then you're like, you know what? Here's another one. Just no questions asked. Just send me another one. So your customer service has always been great.
I've actually heard that from someone else as well. So yeah, even behind the scenes, I've heard that as well.
Yeah, he's always taking care of me. And so I get to Philly's house. I walk in and he already has it just sitting there ready for me. And the paint job by far is the number one thing that catches your eye. There's no way that you can't see. Just right here, you can see the light bouncing off the back of it. Compared to the Hot Toys, that's night and day difference right there. The scraping from where the packaging caused the scrapes. Okay, yeah, that was a little unsightly. All these dents and indentations that people were talking about, they're not as bad. I don't know if people have been like trying to emphasize or do some Photoshop to make them look worse than what they really are. You really have to look for them to see that they're that bad. It wasn't bad at all, in my opinion. I'm more than happy to get one of these, and I think Philly, Leo, Jay, and everybody else that got these in hand first to go through these trials and tribulations to get it to where we're going to get it right when we finally get it in hand here at home. The turbine is dope. The sounds, the lights. This is a beautiful piece, people. I don't know what the complaints about.
This is it's
enormous.
I think it's dope. Real quick, I wanna ask Evil Sneaker, because Evil, you actually got one of his pieces, I believe. And correct me if I'm wrong. You got the 66 from him, right?
22. I got the clean 22.
Oh, the clean 22. I'm sorry.
Yep.
I keep Mario got the 66. That's what I'm thinking of. And
Yeah.
what were your? I know, but to talk to the viewers, what did you think about those? Or what did you think about it when you got it first in hand? I know it was a higher price point than you normally do with your collection, but when you got this in hand, was it satisfactory? Did you get buyer's remorse? Like what were your thoughts behind it?
Yeah, actually, so when I got the 22 Batmobile, I actually jumped on the wait list and got a conversion. I actually wasn't certain that I was going to purchase it, but hopped on the wait list. 22, I'm really high on that movie. It's one of the top 2 like Batman movies for me. So got on the wait list, sure enough, converted. Had to pay in full, so that was like a tough pill to swallow at the time. I'm like, do I pay in full right now and do this, or like I'm gonna miss out? Probably not gonna have another opportunity again. So paid in full, got it in hand. It got here fast. Like it was like I think 4 or 5 days. So the shipping was crazy. I know a lot of people talk about the shipping costs. Well, like what goes into that, you know, based on what Joost was saying with everything and like just like the quality control with like the packaging and stuff. I mean, it's really, to me, wasn't that big of a deal. I kind of look at it as kind of built-in cost for the product. It's a huge box. It's the biggest box that I have for anything that I have, but it's a different experience unboxing like one of these vehicles. It's like I have the 89 Hot Toys Batmobile like right here next to the 22, and you can just like, you can see the difference in just like not that Hot Toys is a bad quality. You can just see the difference in quality when you look at kind of everything that went into the 22 Batmobile. That was something that I kind of went back and looked at all the videos and just like how it was created. And then I just decided like, okay, everything that's going into this and just like the attention to detail, how many pieces it was like to create the motor, and just like everything is just the attention to detail is you're just not going to get anything more accurate. So I know Joost, you said that there were, I think 4 people that had an issue. I was one of the 4 people that had a very small issue, like right along the baseboard of the driver's side. There was like a small dent. Right. And I reached out, you took care of me pretty much right away. And you even like, you recommended like, hey, if you use this type of paint, you're not even going to notice it. I fixed that. No problem whatsoever. So I appreciated that, just like the customer service. And I had a really good experience. I love my 22 Batmobile. Very cool. Like, yeah, not something that I'm going to get rid of. But Miguel, I know I'm taking a while, but is it okay if I kind of just speak to a little bit about kind of the stuff surrounding what happened with?
Yeah. Go ahead. Do your thing.
So I think for like me, like I obviously have a channel. I have like a dedicated 1/6 channel, and I think like I'm pretty keen on the groups and kind of what goes on in your group and just 1/6. I think you spoke to a lot of it, and I think people in the chat are mentioning this as well about just like the transparency. And I think like we're lucky to get that from somebody who owns a company, being transparent, going along the way and having people vote on things, what you want and what you don't want. You're not going to make everybody happy. So I personally appreciate the transparency. As far as I think the main thing, just observation when it comes to like the 6 scale groups on Facebook, and like you said, you're never going to please everybody. Every time a 1/6 figure comes out, there's always somebody who's mad about it. There's always somebody who hates the figures, whether they're going to buy them or not. It's just like kind of goes along with the hobby. It sounds like statues are kind of the same thing. I think what happened when it came to the test batch, and you were very transparent. I want to make this clear too. If you follow the page, if you even follow like the Jazzinc Facebook page, you would know that transparency along the way was always there. Everything you said about how you were doing it, the shake tests, everything. You were posting videos, all the steps along the way, test batch. You said exactly how it was going to go. So there's no question there. I think where, at least to me, like my observation, where like one of the problems was when people got the test batch in, and not that I'm not saying at all that this is the wrong thing to do, but I think when people got the test batch in and then they started posting photos on Facebook of like 89 Batman or Batmobiles here, stay tuned for the review, and it was the test batch. I think like right there was when it basically created like it was too late. It was too late when people posted that, and it's like, okay, well now the hype is there. People are basically, they're putting out to their followers, hey, review coming soon, and then open up the box, there's damage. And then it's okay, now we got to backtrack. And then I know it sounds like there is some communication, Joost, you can correct me if I'm wrong, of like, well, hey, I want a true representation of what customers are going to receive. Let's get the issues fixed, and then let's have you review the product. For me, I think that is totally reasonable. I think for other collectors in the community, people were then like, well, what are you hiding? You're hiding stuff with the vehicle. Why don't you show people?
They don't know what a test batch means.
Yeah, show people what they're really going to receive. Like, this could happen to me. And just like, it just got really nasty. It's always unfortunate when stuff like this happens in 1/6 community. When something goes like this, the communication just kind of goes crazy. Something gets posted in the group. So I personally understand it. I think that was like, for me, I think that's the right thing to do. Hey, let's get this fixed. If there's a recommendation I could make, and like I said, I'm speaking kind of from the outside in, just looking at this from like having a channel and stuff and just like how this went. My recommendation, I guess, would be to, like, if you're going to do a test batch, like, just have something internally. Hey, we want you to like make sure nothing is wrong. Get your information back to me. And then once you get like a finalized product, okay, there's no issues, then review the product. And I get people are going to say, oh, you're hiding stuff. I personally don't think so. Like, you want, as a company, you also want like the best version of the product that you're putting out, what you expect people to receive. You want that reviewed. And then you want an honest review of what you like and don't like about it. Right. So I think for me, like, I understand that. Me personally, I'm not speaking for anybody else, but that was kind of just like my experience as someone who collects 1/6 stuff. And I have an interest in this vehicle too. You know, like, I'm on the wait list for this. Whether or not that happens, I know the wait list by now is probably crazy just because all the hype of this. And I don't know if it's something that I would necessarily commit to. But with that being said, for me, if this was something that I wanted to buy, this is how I would want that experience to go. Like, I would hate to have, like, imagine, I don't know how many, I don't know if you can say like how many of these that you're creating as of now, but like, I can't imagine you send 1,000 of these out to people and like a couple hundred have damages, and then logistic, like, what, you got to send them a new one? Because I can imagine like sending this back to you is probably hundreds of dollars. So it's just like all the logistical things and everything. I think it was just like the once that like hype was out for the reviews, that's when it kind of, everything just kind of blew up, which unfortunately so, but I just wanted to kind of speak to that because I know a lot of people have talked about it. And I know there's people in here who kind of watch me. I don't really I kind of stay away from drama on my channel, but I just wanted to kind of speak to that just from my perspective of like how I thought everything went down.
No, that's a good point. I just, the reason why we wanted to bring this up is to lay it to rest anyway, right? Like, we don't want to keep beating a dead horse. Like, obviously we explained ourselves. Joost came on and he didn't have to, and he did. And let's just lay it to rest. He's gonna do what he needs to do to get the product right. And when you guys receive it, you guys are gonna receive, something that he wants worth giving to you guys. So real quick, let me just I feel bad, guys. I appreciate this. You didn't really have to do this, but Rockaman Chris, thank you so much for the $49.99 super chat. I have supported Jazzinc and Joost for some time now. The better he gets, the better my collection looks. I do see faults, but also growth. What I buy from him, my bad, my eyes are deceiving me. What I buy from him gets better each time. Joost, if you don't mind sharing the BVS shipping story. What is that? Do you know what that is? I don't know what that is.
I don't know. Maybe in the chat, explain what BVS shipping story.
We'll go back to that. Rockaman, try to explain that a little bit more. And then we have Better Gaming TV1. Thank you for the super chat. For some people taking issues with the 89 mold imperfections, I think he already touched on this, but he could go ahead and say it again. They're visible in the videos. Too late to fix, or is that an issue too as well? So I think I don't know if they're imperfections or they're part of the mold, right?
No, all right. So I wrote this today on the Collectibles Freaks forum. Basically, and this is what Calvin said, right? If you see this thing in real life, and the video that you kept looping where you saw the pallet wagon and everything, that's the final version right there. This is the final version. You don't see any huge dents. This is the final version. You don't see any huge dents. By the way, check out the different color in different lighting. Same car, same paint, I should say. Not same car, but same paint. Looking more green if you have a Maju case. Anyway, as you can see, look at the size. There's no huge dents. But, so what we chose to get maximum detail out of the molds within the budget, right? And I've been explaining earlier that the budget the margins are thin, so there's not a lot we can do right there. And if you create all these complex shapes in parts, especially where we chose to do like everything, including the hinges and everything, there's always going to be the trouble with the shapes. Now we fill that and sand that. We've been doing that for 6 months, but there's always going to be something, especially if you have a deep black paint and there's a semi-gloss satin paint coat on that. You're going to see everything if you have the wrong light. Now, we had 3 choices: either make it like this with all the detail, or increase the price and increase the number of pieces. But then if you make all these pieces separate pieces, then you'll have panel gap issues, alignment issues, or you can do basically the road that Hot Toys chose, where instead of like making the hinge and all that sort of they hinted at it with engraving on the side and just kept it simpler, kept the shapes and the curves simpler. There's a reason they do that. That makes production easier. There's not a whole lot of sanding and all that sort of thing going on. But it's pick your poison. This is what it is. I think it looks great. If you look at this video, this is the final production version in different kind of lights, walking around it. Then earlier in the video, you see one of the production versions sitting in a module case with all kinds of light. Here I'm going in close. Yes, there are some waviness and indentations, but that's been part of all our cars. If you put it in the right light, you'll see this too. You'll see it in every of our cars, including the 1966, the 22, and the 1995. So again, I think it's blown quite out of proportion. If you look at this video, I don't see any huge holes or whatever. But it's pick your poison.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks good though. Here's Chris again. Thank you again for the $4.99 super chat. Yeah. Maybe we should ask him another question. It's like, no, the palette was showed to my house just took care of me. Funny story, but all a part of the growth.
Yeah. Right. Oh, because it's funny. Did you hear the ding? My wife is watching this apparently, and she said it's probably about the palette that came in. So apparently we had a very fanatical FedEx guy, and we had 6 of these BVSs in production and quality control. And there were no labels on this, mind you. And he picked that pallet up to that day's shipment, which was shrink wrapped and had labels on them. And instead of sending them back to me because, hey, there were no labels on them, this whole pallet went across the ocean, and then it sat in a FedEx locker because they couldn't deliver it. And then Rackman Chris was like, dude, you lost my package. Could you deliver it? And instead of delivering the package with his name on it, he just got that pallet with 6 BVSs, you know? It was a weird thing. Wow. Never happened before, never happened since. Yeah.
And he told you that he got all of them?
Yeah, wasn't that
that's very honest of him.
That's very honest of you, man.
Recommend Chris is an honorable man.
Hey, yeah, you are.
I rewarded him.
Sorry.
Oh, now you're good. You're good. So real quick, I want to get to some of the other guys. D'Lo and Collector Joey, both of you guys.
Yes.
Real quick, let me just say bye to Kennedy because Kennedy has to run out and do something. Kennedy, thank you so much for jumping on, bud. Appreciate you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you,
man. Yep. So you guys are like me. I don't own a piece, but obviously you guys talked about it. You guys seen some of this stuff in the video. You've seen some of the pictures. Like me personally, Joey, I don't know if you could put the picture up of the 95 that's on the wall.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
There is, I forgot her name, and I'm sorry if you're in the chats, but she had she did a diorama with the 95 going up the wall, and I thought that was incredible. And obviously there's the Batwing as well. That looks really good, but I want to know, and I'll start with D'Lo first. D'Lo, what do you think of these, dioramas? And I know you're a 6-scale collector too. What are your thoughts on these? And do you have a favorite?
Yeah. First of all, Joost, thank you for taking the time to come out and just really answer these questions, kind of nip a lot of these concerns kind of in the butt for a lot of collectors. Hopefully that kind of resolve some people's questions. Regarding the work, I'm a huge Batman fan. So work like this definitely harkens to my attention over here because, I mean, the craftsmanship of the vehicle and the excellent execution of the person who created the diorama is why we collect in the first place, right? This is essentially the whole reason why we do what we do as collectors, because we're fans first and foremost, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, so as far as a favorite is concerned, truth be told, I kind of caught on to your work later on, learned about you actually through the Justice Mobile, which is something that has always piqued my interest because that's actually one of my favorite Batmobiles. But as far as for myself, yes, I don't own a piece, and it's just a matter of just finding opportunity and finding the right piece for me and stuff like that and seeing if that's going to be something I want to do. But I did want to ask some questions, if that's okay, guys, right now, just because since I don't have a piece of my own, I asked a couple of my subscribers to see if they had any questions that they wanted me to pass along to Joost. And Joost, if you're okay, if I have a few questions that some people actually want to ask you here. So the first one is actually from someone who wanted to remain anonymous. Let's call him Jeremy from Instagram. Jeremy says here, Joost, thank you so much for answering my question here. Greatly appreciate it. I've always been an admirer of your work. However, I've always been hesitant to jump in just because of the negativity of the community there. Now, I don't collect as often as some of my other partners in crime. However, I am always been interested in your work, and I always find your passion for your work very admirable. For someone like myself who doesn't collect as often and has a very limited budget, what would you say would be the biggest selling point to go with a vehicle from your lineup as opposed to another company? Thank you so much. And also, will you be making a 97 Batmobile?
Oh,
okay.
That was a loaded question.
Thank you for your kind words and your thoughtful question. Let's start with the last one first. Oh, hell yeah. We're going I think we'll start that next year, the 97, but Hot Toys teasing the 97 figures kind of solidified it. And I'm a completist, so I want to make them all because I want to own them all. So yeah, this 97 is coming. Why should you buy okay, I'm going to be a little bit of a smart ass here. Why should you buy a vehicle from us instead of another company? Which company? There's no one else doing 6-scale vehicles.
Talk that shit, Joost. Talk that shit. Go ahead. Say it with your chest.
It's the best answer you could give, really.
Yeah, that's it.
So, yeah, because people are like, it's easy. And I'm like, yeah, all right. Everybody and their brother are making 6-scale figures. Nobody's making vehicles because it ain't easy. Anyway, back to Jeremy. So why would you buy? So it goes back to maybe not even buy a vehicle, but consider a diorama. The reason why I started doing dioramas before I even made a business out of it is because, and this is what Alex was trying to say, to get the most out of these figures, you have to pose them right, you have to light them right, put them in the right environment to make them really look good. And if you don't do that, it looks like a cheap toy and makes people come by and say, why are you collecting Barbies? So that's why I always made the dioramas and the vehicles, and to build it up really, to make a scene. And so that's why I think the stuff we make is the perfect complement to your figure collection. If you display it nicely together with those figures, or like the cockpit, and put those figures in there, it just comes to life. So that's why I think it's not a bad idea to invest in vehicles and dioramas to get the most out of your investment in the figures. That's my answer.
That's good. And you see these,
sorry, it goes back to like when you're a kid, and one of the things that you see like an advert for a He-Man figure or a G.I. Joe, and they always have like this terrain which you don't get. And it's always like, it always annoyed me as a kid. There's always like, you see this thing on TV that looks absolutely amazing, but you're never ever going to get that. Okay, I've always got that little like perfect scaled oil drums and whatever else, and it'll never happen. In that mind. But
that's awesome.
Absolutely.
Hey, so real quick, I got some other super chats, but I want to get Joey's input on this, and then we'll go back to Dilo. Dilo, do you have any other questions too?
Yeah, I got a couple, but yeah, you can pass them on.
Okay, just I don't want to waste too much time on it because we got other things. But real quick, Collector Joey, what are your thoughts on the brand and stuff? I know you talked about it on your show as well.
Man, I think it's great, and especially with the transparency with Yoast, that's always awesome to have from somebody. Especially, I know it's hard to do that because you do get negatives and positives, but mainly positive. But overall, I think everything looks great to me so far. Even you have those flaws, but that's okay. I think that's going to make the company better over time. And people want to compare you to like Hot Toys and stuff like that, but they don't understand. You're not making. You don't have the, like you just said. You just started profiting last year, so it's gonna be hard for you to compete. But with how you're competing right now, I think you're on the right track right now. Honestly, I think you are. So just quick summary right there.
Nice. I appreciate it. And being compared to Hot Toys is the biggest compliment. I mean, they created the 6-scale space as I know it, and they set the bar with their figures and they did the first vehicles. I mean, it's been a while, but they did it, and so it's a great compliment. But no, we don't have like 100 employees and make like 20,000 or 50,000 of each. So it's a whole different company and product and ball game.
I mean, because like I said, even if it was me, I would have just said, screw you guys, I'm going home. You know what? I'm making these for myself now. But since you have that passion, I'm really excited to see what else you make. And Brick, I know, has a question about something else you make that would make me go into the Jazzinc territory.
So that's a super chat. Thank you so much. So he's asking, what are the chances of getting a Jurassic Park vehicle?
Well, if all I can say, if it's up to me, then it's coming. So I really want the Universal license, but since we're small fish, it's hard to get that done. And because I talked to them about the Back to the Future stuff, but then we know what happened. So what's left is basically Jurassic Park and Knight Rider. Those are the two I really want.
Knight Rider's good.
Yeah, I need to do kit, right? And then
yeah.
So anyway, but those two might not be enough for them to be of interest, even though I've gotten financing so I can put up a significant portion up front. But so it's all down to Universal at this point. But I want to do Jurassic Park. I want to do the Jeep. I want to do a couple of dinos. I want to do a couple of figures, and I really want to do kit with a couple of figures as well. So
nice. The vehicles though is a lot harder. Obviously, with Jurassic Park, you can't get permission from Universal, but then do you have to get permission from Jeep as well?
Yeah. But that's the same thing that we're talking to EON right now and MGM. And if you want to do the DB5 with the James Bond spin on it, you'll have to get EON's approval as well as Aston Martin and pay them both. Yeah.
Jesus. So see, guys, there's a lot into this that a lot of people don't know about that.
Yeah.
You know, that's crazy. Real quick, brother cousin, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate the 89 Batmobile is the only thing I own, period. Thank you, brother cousin. I appreciate it. He had a good review as well.
Guys, one more question. I've got like another one, which is like,
go ahead.
Because obviously you did this unlicensed for a period of time, and then you're now licensed. So, what's been the biggest sort of challenge of that? Obviously, that's a whole different way of working where you can make whatever you want to. No, you're not allowed to make that, and then you have that restriction placed on you. That must be really difficult?
Yeah. It brings a lot of challenges for sure. Even recently, so with the 1989, this is probably some of your viewers are going to have that question. So we had a different paint job on both the guns and the bullets for the prototype of the 1989. And then Warner Brothers came with, they have this Star Labs environment where there's a lot of imagery where you can, where then the people who approve it compare it to what you've put in. And there's this one shot with the guns and the gun belts. If I can share my screen, I can show it to you. Where both the gun and the guns look really dark and black and gray. And so they asked me to change the paint, which leads to this kind of weird look where Batman apparently sources dark gray black bullets. So, yeah. That's the sort of thing where I think it might have been the lighting, but then if people say this is how you have to paint it to get our approval, then that happens and leads to a lot of questions. So that's the sort of thing where I know it's wrong, or no, I don't know it's wrong, but I think those bullets are just in different lighting anyway. So that's the kind of
you have other issues as well. I mean, because we were dealing with Warner Brothers in Southeast Asia, and companies dealing with Warner Brothers in USA were allowed to do pretty much what they wanted with certain things, and then when it would come to the Southeast Asia side, they were like, no. Same with the Marvel Disney as well. It was like one of the things was Mystique. So, for example, they made Mystique and they put it up for approval, and then it said Mystique is meant to be a young girl, so no, you need to cover her backside against the wall. And it's like, no, in the comics she's not. But the person who was doing the approval had obviously just seen the movie. Yeah. So they're like going, oh no, she's like, she's 15 or whatever. You can't show her ass like that. And then Sideshow released one, and it's like they're allowed to kind of make her sexualized. So it's a bit like, it depends who you're getting that approval from. It's a really, really frustrating process. Like really frustrating. And especially with the Star Wars side, it's like you have to show a screenshot of something you're doing to prove that that's happening in the actual movie like that. We were doing some poses of like things that didn't get made actually. And it was like Luke training with Yoda. There was a General Grievous who never got made. There was a Han in a Stormtrooper outfit. And to get those approved was just like so difficult. And they didn't get made in the end. We made the prototypes, but they never got made the statues.
Yeah, it brings its own unique set of challenges for sure. But the upside is if you have something like the 2022 where I knew a year in advance where it was going, and together with the people building the thing on set for real, or actually they built several, I could build a prototype and have it ready when the movie came out. So you win some, you lose some. It's kind of.
On that note, I'm looking at the animated Batman, the animated Batmobile, which I believe is still in pre-order at the moment, right?
Yeah, it's still very much in the design phase. I've put up some pictures even this week, and I think I put them in a folder for Miguel to show.
I'm going to show them real quick now. I'm trying to let these chats know that I'm going to get to their questions because they're piling up on me. But let me, I'm gonna send them now. We could talk about, let's talk about the animated one for sure.
Yeah, just because my question was, since we were talking about the interpretation of, you have a reference that from the '89 that, all right, how does this translate from, well, what was the lighting on set to the, all the different interpretations you have. I imagine in that realm, this has got to be the ultimate test of, because I mean, this thing didn't exist. In the real world. You're taking lines and brushstrokes on a page and going, okay, how do we channel that into something that's real, that you can touch and move and actually exists? There's got to be a lot of creative interpretation going on in this process.
Yeah, and the source material is all over the place with really slim lines and like an impossibly narrow canopy, because I mean we deal with stuff on set. So like this is a snow speeder, but what people didn't know is that the actors on set, they actually sawed holes in the bottom to get the legs out, and for the scale model they only used the upper half of scale model puppets. But we had to make it so that the Hot Toys figures fit in there and the Sideshow figures fit in there. So they're taking a lot of liberties on set. Even with the 2022, the interior was a whole separate set that was even larger, and it was different than what was in the cars that were driving. So that's always a challenge. With the animated series, it's even worse because there's comic book representations though that look different. There's like the pop art
Hey, Joost, give me 1 second. We got to say bye to Alex because he's got to get to his family. Alex, thank you so much for jumping on, brother. I really appreciate you,
Thanks,
man.
everyone.
We'll catch up,
Appreciate it.
okay?
Nice
to meet you guys. Follow Radd Titan, guys.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. My bad. Proceed. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that, but I know he was kind of etching to go. And while I show the pictures, but go ahead.
Yeah. So then you have to make choices on the interpretation and which version to do. And so the really long and weird and thin one, well, that would be impractical because we want to make the figures as well, and we want to make them so that they fit in the cockpit. And so the way that they drew the cockpit, because you can draw pretty much anything, right? And you can open it up,
right?
Like a Harry Potter tent where you walk in and it's like huge on the inside. So and we can't do that. So that kind of narrowed down our design and the things that we could and could not do. And the thing I was worried about this one, because it's such simple lines compared to the other stuff that would be too boring. So one of the things
I was thinking about that too, is how do you add in enough detail to where again, these things, animation cells, they're burning through these things really quick because they have to draw so many of them. How do you flesh this out to where, like you said, it doesn't look too simple, but you flesh it out too much, it doesn't look like the original design.
And so that we made a couple of design options and then showed it to the group, and then that way people could choose which way to go. So this is the latest design, and so one of the things we did is because it's so simple, and now especially with Warner Brothers also selling the stuff in our stores and selling more and more and more, they've already committed to quite a significant order of these, so that I can probably now add an engine and an engine bay to that, even though that was not part of the pre-order. When people place the pre-order, they're going to get that upgrade for free, like we always do if we get enough orders. And so that, together with a more detailed interior, I think if you put that down with an opening hood and then you put our animated series figure next to it, I think that's going to look really good.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a great compromise. It's keeping the simple, as you know it from the outside, but pop the hood and it's
exactly.
It's a great idea.
Hey, so real quick, where was that at? Yes, is this the missus?
Yeah, the missus is watching.
Thank you on behalf of all of us. I know we're taking time away from him and you guys, but thank you so much. I really appreciate that. So real quick, Josh McCoy with a super chat. Always been impressed with the Vulture figure.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you, dude. He's one of he had to work today, but he's usually on our panel, and he was so mad he had to miss it. But hey, so real quick, I want to kind of let's take a break from all this because we're kind of like, we're zoning in and stuff. But we're gonna talk about what more is to come with Jazzinc, because we have a couple other pictures we want to show of other vehicles and figures, and I do want to get to the questions. I know there's some of them there. Hopefully I can get to all of them. Thank you for everybody who super chatted, and I starred the questions that people had that I'll try to go towards the end. And I know Dilo and Steve have a question towards the end too. But real quick, this is a family-owned business, guys. So for those who don't know, and correct me if I'm wrong, the missus is part of working with you guys, which I think is freaking awesome. That's a keeper, right? The kids are involved, right? Your oldest, I think, is involved a little bit more, right?
Yep, that's true.
Dad, right? Pops is
Pops is 76, and he's still coming in Monday through Friday.
That's freaking awesome. And I also heard you got a whole soccer team kind of involved in this, but it's a family-owned business. But I gotta ask, where does Jazzinc come into play? Like the name Jazzinc, is that a music reference?
Yeah, well, that was stupid, and I
like it. I like it.
It's a weird name for a collectible company. So the story is very simple. I started my YouTube channel on guitars, and so when I started doing collectibles, I was like, I don't want to mix the two up, so I wanted to start a second YouTube channel, but I couldn't do that with the same name. So the Joost channel, Joost Assink, was taken. And so I got my gaming moniker from when I was a kid, which is still Jay Assink. So it's still my name, but with the Z's and the C and the C instead of the S's and the K. And that was the YouTube channel that started it all. with all the collectible stuff and me doing customs and paint tutorials and soldering tutorials and all that sort of thing. Right, he turned 37. Oh, that was
happy birthday.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's how people got to know me as the Jazzinc, because that's what the YouTube channel, that was the only name I could think of, and I never thought that would grow into a company. So I'm kind of stuck with it now because
so you're probably gonna hate me for this, but I've seen you in interviews, and there's usually a couple guitars taking some dust in the background. I'm actually gonna put you on the spot. I want to see if you could grab one of them and play something for us.
Playing something live, huh? What could go wrong?
Sir.
All right.
Okay. Like a boss. You see that? He accepted the challenge very quickly. Okay.
Get my amp.
Oh man.
Wow.
Okay. All right. All right. No, joking. This is something I've been working on, so please forgive me. In the words of the famous, I forget his name. Whatever mistakes are coming, they're intentional. All right.
Let's go. That was amazing, bro.
Nice.
That's awesome, dude.
That's cool.
Has anybody ever asked you to play a live like that before?
No, Miguel. Nobody asked me before.
That is freaking awesome, dude. Thank you for that, man. I wanted to do something a little different. I didn't know if you were going to do it, but I know, there's other talents that you have. But, man, that was really freaking good, man.
That was awesome.
Did you have a band or something back then, or what? Or do you have a band now we don't know about? What's going on?
I don't have time for a band anymore, but I used to have a band. I used to play a lot, and now I still have the YouTube channel. So if you want to see me play, just Google. I did during COVID. I did Hotel California, all the parts.
What?
Because there's like 10 instruments in there, and so you can just Google Joost Assink and then Hotel California, and you'll probably see me do that. So right now I'm working on Sultan Swing. If you could tell that was Sultan Swing.
Yeah, that was Dire Straits, right? Yeah,
exactly. And so I've recorded all parts, including the vocals, and now I'm learning the drums, but I can play them, but not up to speed yet. So
hey, the chat's like they're applauding for you, so that's pretty cool. That was neat, man. Thank you for that.
What's funny is earlier this week when we were trying to get all this together, he was like, "Yeah, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm asking to play the guitar live."
Yeah. I think
you didn't stop up, Calvin. What the hell, man?
Nah, Calvin's the only one I told, I think, out of everybody. So, and I told him I had a surprise for him. I just didn't know if you were gonna do it or not. So, but that's awesome, man. Thank you for that. I thought that was really cool. Now that we rocked on a little bit and changed the momentum of the show, let's keep talking about some of the new things that are coming out in the future of Miguel's like dance monkey. Dude, I love it. I'm always trying to get people to go out of the norm and do something crazy. We'll definitely clip that. So, but let's talk about some of the future of Jazzinc. We talk about the Batman animated series Batmobile, which I'm excited about. I'm a 90s kid. I grew up with that. X-Men 97, Spider-Man. Matter of fact, if I had a request, I would tell you to do the X-Men jet.
Oh.
The Blackbird. That would be awesome. I would love to see a Blackbird, but let's talk about this one here. I'm excited about too. A lot of people are anticipating this one. What can you tell us about this? We got some old pictures and some new pictures here in this batch for you guys.
Yeah, I got some exclusives for you in terms of new pictures. Yeah, so we're getting very close to making the final prototype and getting it done, and getting real like the product pictures. And so right now Sean is done, and we got the great Viola doing the painting, and then we're going to be putting it together. She's going to be taking some pictures. We've got Marcel Seltzer doing the diorama design. Inigo doing the design, and Marcel building it, and then we're going to be putting it all together. And if you know what, let's give you another scoop. It looks like 95% sure we are going to include rolling eyeballs for at the end there. So
let's go.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So, so we're going to be making two versions, a clean version like you see here, full figure, of course, and then there's going to be a battle damaged version where she's kind of losing her mind. So these are all sculpts we made for the clean version. This is a first picture of a battle damaged version where you can see the suit is torn, there's the mask is torn, the hairs are coming out, and she's got that beautiful expression. And so here's the whip that we've done for that in 6 scale, and then here is a version, the clean version. Now, the thing to know is that we used a Fison body and we modified it to get close to the Michelle Pfeiffer, but it's still looking slightly off, and that's because, of course, for the actual production run, we already have the exact body design and dimensions and shape of Michelle Pfeiffer, and so we're going to be making a custom body for that. You're not going to be seeing that in the prototype, so we modified that Fison body to get as close to Michelle Pfeiffer as possible, but especially around the hips, it's still not right where we want it to be.
If it looks anything like the portrait, though, I mean, the portrait is spot on.
Yeah,
it looks great.
Yeah, for sure.
I think so too. Sean did an amazing job right there. So, she's repainting the neutral sculpt once more. So that's a work in progress. We weren't totally happy with where that was going and how that looked. So this is for the Hell Here diorama behind it, and so somebody in the Collectible Freaks forum suggested maybe put a photo in there to get between the black background where we have the Hell Here and then the front where there's the curtain, so that it actually looks like there's something in that room. So this is the attempt to do that. This is the work in progress of the neutral sculpt, still half painted, of course, but so we're getting very close. This is these are all the sculpts for the clean version. We will narrow that down to 3, but we're going to be putting it up to a vote, like everything we do, because this has been so divisive, where people were like, you need a neutral sculpt, and then they thought, well, we need a smiling sculpt. We thought for the Catwoman, the licking would be something as an extra sculpt would be totally awesome, and then we got the meow look at the right, which was added later. And now we just have to decide which of the 3 will be part of the DX version. So the DX version, to answer Dan's question, is going to be three heads. The reason that there's 4 is because, especially the 2 on the right, caused a bit of a division. Although right now, with all the feedback I'm hearing, it might be that it's going to land to be the 3 on the right as the 3 that we select. I don't know. We're going to be putting that up to a vote. And is that a real 6 scale braided whip? Yes.
I will say that usually it's hard to get those figures to look good when they have like an open mouth like that, let alone a tongue. I mean, I think that still looks phenomenal with her mouth open and a tongue added to it. Even like I would say the Joker from Hot Toys with his tongue still kind of looked the newest artisan one. You can have it one where he can have his tongue out, like licking his lips. And I said that one didn't look the greatest, but or like even John Cena Peacemaker from Hot Toys it kind of looked weird with the tongue, but I think this one looks great with tongue out.
Yeah, I gotta agree with Joey. I think it's, some figures just, they don't look good, but for her it looks good. And she could be licking her paws like she does in the movie. Like there's so many things you could do with this. It's pretty cool.
Licking Batman. Yeah.
You're licking Batman. Yeah. But this is really cool. Now with the rolling eyeballs is going to be a cool thing. And do we have a estimated price point? You don't have to say it if it's not anywhere near conversation. But do we know what these 6 scale figures will be in a price range of?
So I want to have a release of a figure around $300. So I'm kind of done with for this price. It needs to be perfect and flawless and dipped in gold and fly and whatever. And so for the cars, that unfortunately is the reality. But for figures, especially since we cut out so many of the middlemen and we do everything in house, I think $300 for a Catwoman figure is doable.
Dude, that's freaking great news.
Yeah, but that's so there's going to be something around the $300 range, but for the full DX with the diorama and all the heads, that's going to be a different price point. What that price point will be, I don't know. As soon as we have the prototype finished, I have a couple of suppliers lined up. They also helped us with the Vulture figure, which I was really happy with. And so we need to send that to them so that they can really see and get it in hand. And then quote me prices for all the individual suppliers, the things that they need to do. So for the clothing makers, for the heads, for the bodies. And so, and I hope that we still make end of September so that I have a price and we have pictures so that people see what they get, or at least what they will get. And then we will know more about what the DX version of the 2-pack is going to be like. Do you
think that you have to pay more attention to detail more on figures or more on vehicles? Ooh. Which one's more of a detail? Like you really go in depth with that. Which one's more?
Okay, so let me answer that 2 ways. So when it comes to detail, both are important, but yeah. I found that the detail on cars is a very objective thing. Is it the correct size? Is it the correct shape?
Yeah.
I was blown away the last couple of months when we started doing these figures and the stuff, and how completely subjective that can be, where somebody could say this is the best representation of Catwoman ever, and others are like, I don't see it. It's completely off. It's awful. And they're looking at the same thing. So it's much more subjective and is more going back and forth. And I think we've landed on something where most now would say this is obviously very close and very good and as best as we've seen so far. So I'm happy to hear that. When it comes to complexity of construction, cars are much harder to do. I mean, for the 89 Batmobile, we have over 400 parts per vehicle. The cockpit alone, the cockpit alone is 132 parts. Every part has to be produced, sanded, painted, weathered, assembled, and then et cetera, right? So that's why from a complexity standpoint, cars are harder, which is why I think we're the only one doing them so far. For the detail and the accuracy in the figures, like I said, is more subjective, but the paint is so critical. So, but we're getting a lot of help there. Kit Chen from 16 Kit has also offered his help because he knows everybody out there. Nice. And together with the suppliers, they've said we're only going to get the best hands in the business to work on this one because it's kind of a prestige project for them too. So, yeah.
That's really cool. Real quick, so somebody asked the materials of the clothing. Do we know what they're going to be made out of, I guess, is what he's asking? Yeah, well, so we got a hybrid material between latex and not well. So it's a latex type material that you see here that has a 4-way stretch that allows us to get it really tight and not limit articulation that much. The hands are going to be sculpted. We've tried the corset in leather. That really didn't work. So the corset is also going to be sculpted. And then, so right now we've 3D printed the stitches because you can't really stitch without tearing the fabric and getting the stitches consistently in shape, because we're getting discussions about
that stitch about or left here needs to be a half a millimeter to the left and to the right. So
wow,
you can never manually stitch that. So that's all sculpted right now. That's glued on. But for final production, we will be using the same technique as you would do on a Spider-Man costume, where you have the Spider-Man web,
the webbing
on top of the fabric to get the stitches done that way, and then paint them. So
nice. Okay.
I hope that answers the question.
And then real quick, will the factory be able to recreate the Viola paint job?
Yeah. That's especially now that we can do the rolling eyes. You can get really, really good eyeballs, so that the eyes will look realistic. And then, I think they can get very, very close to the Viola's paint job. Yeah.
Nice. And then real quick, are they going to be able to, is the US going to be able to buy through you directly or no?
No, again, with the licensing challenges and those who will not be named blocking us in the USA and Canada. For North America, we cannot sell directly, so everybody else in the whole world can buy it directly from our site. That will be the cheapest, but we've got 1/6 kit and we got Spec Fiction and maybe a third company that will carry these figures, and so you will be able to buy them.
Use Toy Quest 101 as Spec Fiction for a discount code. Anyway, so let's move on to our one of the ones I'm excited about, and this is really cool. We got some cool pictures here for the next thing that's coming up for you guys.
Real quick, I wanted to ask my question for the.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
The Lex kit. I know a lot of us were questioning with both the clean and the battle damage. The listing shows the diorama piece for both sets. Will it be two different dioramas, the same diorama? That's one thing we wanted clarity on.
Yeah, and so that's a good question, Calvin. So the suggestion I've seen in the Collectible Freaks forum, which makes the most sense to me, is to reserve the diorama for the 2-pack only. Okay. We don't have, because there's a lot of people who don't want a diorama because they will leave it in the box or don't have the space for it. And we don't have the money and the budget to create 2 different dioramas. So if you put it in the 2-pack, then there's still the option for people to buy the separate figures and not have the diorama. And then in the 2-pack, just having the one diorama kind of makes sense as an extra to buy the 2-pack. So that's the way we're leaning right now. Again, we've been listening and we've been reading all the comments in all the groups and in the Collectible Freaks forum. And so that's right. That's where we're leaning right now, Calvin.
Okay. Great answer.
Awesome. Thank you. Sorry if I missed that question in the chats. I do have some saved for later. Let's move on to this one. And then after this, we'll knock out the questions and end the show because we're about to hit our mark. But real quick, talk to us about this beauty. I don't know if Mario's still with us, but Mario, this for me is calling your name, bro. You need to be getting this, but go ahead.
Yeah, so this is the final prototype before production of the 1966 diecast cycle. So you're looking at the cart here. For the real cart, there's going to be some leather type texture in the vinyl, just like the real thing had, but we couldn't 3D print that, and all our prototypes are 3D printed. So this is going to be diecast. There's going to be basically every part that was metal on the bike, plus some things like the fairings and all that sort of thing are going to be diecast, which was fiberglass on the real bike. So this is going to be our first piece with a lot of diecast in there. And if you scroll ahead, you'll see the first pictures with Batman and Robin in there.
Go, yes.
Yeah, so right there.
That is awesome, dude.
Yeah,
That's so good.
It's pretty cool. Unfortunately, the bodies didn't want to fold the way the real humans did on set, especially the figure for the Robin figure. This is as good as I got it without breaking stuff. I still think it looks cool like this. But yeah.
We had somebody in your group ask, Frank Bonilla, this is your question right here, and this is it. So go ahead, continue.
Me?
Yeah, you. I'm sorry. I was just saying that there's a guy in the Facebook group that asked about the figures on the Batmobile, and you just answered it. So thank you.
Yeah. So these are the Hot Toys ones. We're still looking into doing our own. I think there's a lot of stuff to be gained. We've found somebody who had the original fabrics and the original patterns for the suits, so there's some room for improvement. I've shown some teases on how the sculpts can really improve. So we're going to be making that. So for people asking, will you be making like sitting Batman, sitting figures for this?
Yes.
That is not going to happen. So
wow.
The only reason why we could do the sitting Batman is because there would be, so we're already in the niche, right? And we're already making very limited edition stuff. So people buying accessories for the accessories we're making, that's even more limited, right? It's too limited. So for the sitting 989 Batman, if we could make it so that it will fit in our 1989 Batmobile, which is the bestseller we've ever had, plus in our Batwing, plus in the Hot Toys Batmobile, then you've got enough of a group that we could sell a couple of hundred of these and be happy, right? So, but I don't see that happening because there's just not enough buyers for this one. It's all, by the way, it's signed by Burt Ward. Everyone gets a Burt Ward signed and numbered plate with their Batcycle. The Diecast. Yep.
That is dope. That is very dope. Mario's over here trying to sell his kidney. That's so funny. This is really cool though. Really good stuff, man. I mean, listen, like I mentioned before, we keep supporting, we keep as a community, right? Because that's the whole point of this, as a community coming together and really advocating for these figures and giving input and seeing where what sky's the limit is for the company and for Joost. I mean, I can't wait to see you do some more crazy stuff and jump into other vehicles like Knight Rider. I think that'll be really, really cool. Let's get to some of these questions that we have that I saved. I'm gonna go ahead and start with Dilo. Dilo, why don't you go ahead and ask your questions now, and then I'll move it to Steve, and then I'll move it to the audience, and we'll wrap up the show.
Yeah, cool. Sounds like a plan, man. So this question came to me from OneAdam12 on Instagram as well too. For him, his question was more regarding the Catwoman. So his question here is, InArt has taken some heat recently for the long delays with getting batches of figures shipped to customers in a reasonable time frame. Now that you've taken the big leap in producing figures with Catwoman, what steps is Jazzinc going to take to ensure timely delivery to all customers once the figure is ready for release?
Okay. I'm not going to fully answer that because I don't want to throw any shade on InArt and their process. So I think it's a bit of a tricky question. All I can say is we've lined up with suppliers from the get-go to work with us during the design phase so that we don't design what can't be done or that are very difficult to make. So we know that we can make it, and we will send the final prototypes to them next week when they're done, and they can get everything in hand. And we've arranged that so that everybody gets to see their stuff and make their quotes, and then give me reasonable quotes for how long they would take for their part. We add a lot to that to get some margin in there. And then so we expect the date that we set to be realistic. We have a lot of experience with that, and usually we're quite on time. And if we're delayed in the last few years, it's been a couple of weeks at most. So I'm quite confident it's not going to be massive delays that way. But famous last words, right?
Right. Appreciate that. You got another one?
Yeah, I just got one. This one's actually just for me. This in general. As we've been kind of talking to Joost, I was on your website, and for myself, I noticed that you had the Magic cases, right? What you showcased us in the beginning. They look beautiful. Quite a few of us collectors have them as well too. One thing I feel like my display is lacking is some of the personal feel that some of your earlier work did, such as your dioramas, such as with the Star Wars that you did for DTOFs and IKEA Furniture. I was wondering, would you ever consider doing something to the scale of a Magic case in a diorama form?
That is a good question.
That is a good question.
The thing is, dioramas really don't seem to do well these last few years. So I would need to know that we would get enough support to do that. The first test on that is going to be whenever the next 1966 product will be voted on as soon as the 1966 Batcycle goes into production, which is really soon. By the way, if you're interested in the Batcycle, this is your warning 4 weeks before we close pre-orders, and then your only chance at the waitlist. The next project will be parts of the 1966 Batcave to liven up your 1966 displays with if you have the figures, or you have our cycle, or you have the 1966 Batmobile, or the 1968 Batmobile. I'm hoping that will sell enough so that we can do more dioramas. So you can, because I want to do that too, right? To get the Magic cases to the level where I think something like this with my this is the carbon freezing chamber, that really pops, right? So
yeah, look at that. Yeah, I agree. I like a display like that with a full diorama in the back and colorful, and it stands out from the other ones, not just something in place. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. So the thing is, getting the numbers together. Vehicles is difficult enough. The dioramas have been really, really slow. So we're testing that out as soon as we get a chance to do the 1966 Batcave, and then we'll go from there.
Great, thank you.
Can I piggyback on that question as far as dioramas? Your Batcave, and that's my next piece that I'm getting from you. The Batcomputer that's above your head there and behind you. Where do you stand on production with that piece?
Oh, actually, I think the molds are mostly done. Miguel, if you could put up the pictures, I can show you the pictures of the near final version. The only thing lacking from those pictures is we've increased the size of the chair because the Ben Affleck Batman was oversized by Hot Toys, and if we got the chair to the correct size, because we know where the chair was sourced, it looked too small. So what you're seeing in this picture that Miguel is going to be putting up.
Are we talking the Batcomputer?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, just let me download them. I'll send them real quick. Give me 1 second. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, if it's, I can also just share the screen if that's easier for you.
That would be a lot easier, please. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
So, Calvin, and the other thing that you don't see in these pictures yet is the full HD screens that we've finally been able to source. But so production of the parts is now going up, because the last time you asked, I think we were in the process of making the molds. You might have seen those pictures. Mm-hmm. And so so this is what we're looking at. Present. So this is basically the diorama, but those six screens will actually be working screens. And then the floor will actually have we've managed to make the tile print and the print on the back of the wall that will also be included with the final production version. And like I said, the chair will be bigger, and the screens will actually work full HD screens, cycling through the images you saw in the movie. So
is the chair adjustable by any chance? I know it's a weird question to ask, but
so it
Miguel's got lower back problems. He needs
no. I just because
to be in the right spot.
Look. Stop. Figurecraft even said the same thing. Look, adjustable chair for real life, so we could use other different Batman. That's where I was going with it.
Yeah. So no. So the like the real thing, the chair is fixed. Like I said, it's going to be bigger so that the headrest actually hits closer to his neck. But it does work with the wheels spin and roll and that sort of thing. So, and it rotates around its axis. But that's the limit of the adjustability.
Okay.
Nice. Okay. Very nice. Very nice. Steve, go ahead with your question, bud.
Yeah, so we've been talking obviously a lot about Batman, but for me, like, I'm a Star Wars main. Like, the majority of my collection is Star Wars. I'm a little bit more selective when it comes to other stuff. And for me, like, Obi-Wan is like my favorite character, probably like across all different, like IPs and stuff and Star Wars. So I can't lie, when I see like this Kenobi Jedi starfighter, I'm kind of I'm drawn to that, right? So can you talk about this? I know you talked about kind of like as you progress with pieces, you kind of learn more. Each piece you do, you kind of learn, okay, this is what we can do better. This is what we can do better. Can you talk about the Starfighter? Like, what made you choose going with those pieces, like both Kenobi and Anakin, and then just kind of talk about like some differences maybe you're doing with these versus some other Star Wars stuff that you've done?
Okay, so let me see if I can put up the Starfighter, the latest stuff. I think, don't we have a video of that somewhere?
I think I saw a video in there somewhere.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff in there. I went down a rabbit hole for sure.
I agree. Oh, damn. I just wanted to show you guys. Men cannot do two things at once.
Joey, is it the one that you're showing?
I think it is. Yeah, I think I have it up right now.
Is this it?
Is this it?
No, that's that's actually the
snow speeder. The snow speeder, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So let me just answer the question then. We've learned for the Starfighter, we've learned a better way to make like a cool display stand underneath it, and make the wings, the edges of the wings flap out, and get some cool lighting effects in the rear engines that we haven't done before, Star Wars vehicles before, and the other thing that we've now included is like a base where you can actually click in your droid head from your Hot Toys, because again they messed around on set, and the real R2 didn't even fit. I can probably show that. No, I can't. So anyway, so yeah. Those are all little things that we've learned, and of course production techniques, but that would be a bit too boring to go into. But I do have to burst your bubble here into saying that this is going to be the last Star Wars thing that we do. It's just the support isn't there. It's one of the reasons I and the Star Wars stuff is a lot of stuff that we just lost on, and it's all very, very, very limited edition, of course.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the last one, and then we're done.
Sorry, can you say the reason again why this is the last one?
Because there's just very, very, very little support for it, and on a lot of the stuff.
Sure. Like just you're talking about like customers ordering, like
and then on a lot of stuff we just lost our shirt, and I've done it because I wanted the pieces myself.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, a lot of stuff it's hard to make any break even. So
do you know what the run is going to be on these? Like just a ballpark of like the Starfighters.
A couple of dozen worldwide.
Wow. So these are like going to be truly like limited. Okay, I see. Versus,
you better put your deposit in now.
Yeah, versus obviously these Batmobiles. Was there? And then can you just sorry to kind of drag us on, but can you like what drew you to doing this versus like either a different ship or a different vehicle? What specifically like drew you to the Starfighters?
Okay, so there's a couple of reasons, and it's starting with a very practical one. There's not a lot of ships in Star Wars that have a suitable 6-scale size.
Sure.
So
that's true.
The Snowspeeder works. The Jedi Starfighter kind of works, but that's at the limit. So if you want to do an X-wing, that thing is anywhere 5 foot something. TIE fighters 5 foot something. So just
the A-wing maybe could possibly.
Yeah, but I don't think. Yeah, and I don't think that's cool enough. Personally,
yeah, I don't think people are gonna buy that like that.
Something cool enough. Something cool enough, and something that's obviously not overboard in size. Makes sense.
Yeah. Those are some of the considerations, and I really like this. From the prequel, yeah. No, from the prequels, the third movie is the only one that really did something for me, and it's that opening scene. So yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
All right, let's just zoom through these questions here in the chats that I saved. Hopefully I got all of them. If not, we do have a group, Facebook group for Jazzinc. Okay, here we go. Let's see. I'm one of the few in the Netherlands who bought the 89 new cars from the other batches are also shipped from China to the Netherlands. I would like to pick up it up personally. I guess he's asking if he could pick.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's no problem, Robert. So we will be finishing batches in the Netherlands as well as we always have, and shipping them from the Netherlands. We have to do that for at least our European customers, and some of our American customers have chosen that route as well. So I think it's going to be end of October before we get to that. And especially with the delays that we've been having until the end of September to fix the final things before we put out batch 1, right? And then all the things that are now in China would have to be container shipped to us to then finish and ship out. So then that usually takes 6 weeks. So 6 weeks from end of September, you would probably be able to come by and pick up your unit in person. No problem.
Yeah, and then same thing. I guess is the same question with Dan. And then I don't know. Is this English? This is not English.
This is Dutch. Yeah, it's the same question from Robert.
Oh, yeah. It's the same person. All right. So we got those 3 questions out of the way.
Yeah, everybody's welcome to come by.
Yeah. Here we
His
go.
home address will be in the comments. So
yeah. All right. So how many copies of the 1989 does the DC ship? I think about 50, and they released them in batches, and they released another batch of 15 last week, and they sold out in a night. So I don't know how many they have left to sell during the rest of the year. But if you order from the DC shop, they reserve units with us ahead of time, so they are counted, they are numbered, you get a numbered plate, and you are guaranteed a 1989 Batmobile. So that's one of the beautiful things. Well, I was very honored that they chose us and not a very other high brand to do their high-end collectible online store launch, and with the activation that they're doing with Batman 85th anniversary and all that sort of thing. So the 1989, they have 50 of them reserved. They might have sold about half of those already because they've done 2 batches now, so maybe 30, because I think they sell 15 at a time, and they're surprised. And I got an email from Warner Brothers, can I please have another 50? And I'm like, sorry, dude, it's sold out. So the good news is that made them increase the order size for the animated series Batmobile that they'll also be selling to 75, which then allows me to, which was one of the reasons why I could say, well, I think that engine is going to be part of it, and it's going to be very cool and very detailed. So that's how that goes.
Okay. All right. And here we go. New Batman Adventures in the future. The Batmobile from the new Batman Adventures.
Benjamin, he's always there. I love you, Hawk. That's going to be a stretch. I think you're the only one who's, because I have gotten that question before, but maybe from you, maybe one other guy. But I think the animated series is just old enough to have the nostalgia factor and have a large following. Not sure if the new Batman Adventures qualify, and especially considering I want to do the 97 after this, and I want to do our version of the Tumbler after.
Nice.
So if so, it's going to be a couple of years, Benjamin.
Nice. I got a super chat from Emmanuel. I don't know if you meant to say something, but thank you. Appreciate it. And then Benjamin again, 89 seated Batman for the 89 Batmobile updates.
Yeah, so we've adjusted the prototype that I've been showing so that it would still look natural in the 1989, but also fit in the Batwing. The trick there is, if you have the Batwing, you have the headrest here, and then you have the visor in front of him right there. So there's really only one place his head can be. And then to make that fit in that chair and also make it fit in the 1989 Batmobile, also made in the Hot Toys, that was difficult. I think we've done it. The new prototype is printing, or has been printing last week. We'll be painting that and showing that, so that I hope I can put the pre-orders live at the end of September together with Catwoman. That's where we're at for the seated Batman.
Nice. Okay. And then here's another question. Will the 1/6 company figures releases affect plans for the future of 1/6 Jazzinc figures?
Oh, absolutely. I might have not been smart to say that I wanted to do the 97 figures a couple of months ago. I don't know, 6 months ago. And so now that Hot Toys is doing them, we're not doing them, obviously. So, yeah. We're interested in completing the collection, not competing. I've been saying this so much. So Hot Toys, if you're listening, I don't want to compete. Just let me know what you want to make. I'll make the rest. I'll do the B characters. I'll do the Penguin, and I'll do Alfred, and I'll do the 2022 Catwoman. Whatever is not interesting enough to make tens of thousands of, I'll do them. Fine. So yeah.
Cool. I think those are all the questions for now, guys. You guys have any last questions or any last comments before we conclude the show?
I have one more quick question for Joost. Do you think you're gonna like rebrand it all? Like, do you think you're gonna go like Jazzinc Dioramas and figures? Like, have you thought about that as far as like into the future? If you're gonna rebrand kind of your business at all?
Yeah, I've been toying with that idea a lot. So first off, like I said, I wasn't happy with Jazzinc because it makes people think music. And I think Collectibles Collective is much more apt for what we do. But so many people have said, don't do it because the Jazzinc name really means something now, so don't do that. Having said that, it does make sense to change it from Jazzinc Dioramas to Jazzinc Collectibles. So I've been toying with that idea, but I'm not in a hurry. Yeah, I think it makes sense to change it to Jazzinc Collectibles because at first we only did dioramas, then we started doing vehicles. Now we're doing figures. It makes sense to change it to Jazzinc Collectibles.
Yeah, sure. Very
nice. Cool. And then I got a super chat here. Thank you, Carlos. Tumbler still happening?
As far as I'm concerned, yeah, I've got the drawings pretty much done to show as soon as we are ready to launch. But since we're not ready to launch yet, and I want to learn from the die casting process on the Batcycle, which is a lot easier than doing that on the Tumbler. And I really want to do die cast on the Tumbler because that's the only vehicle small enough to actually consider doing die cast. That's really at the limit of what you can do with die cast, around 80, 81 centimeters, if you do it properly sized. And so the Tumbler would be the only Batmobile that would be suitable for die cast. And I really want to do die cast pieces on that to make it something that people would go for. Proper weathering, of course, proper detailing, proper size, that sort of thing.
Nice, very nice. And then one last one, guys. So this one's not that. Any updates on animated 1/6 figures?
Yeah, I don't know if you have that picture of the head sculpts, or otherwise I can just pull it up real quick.
Yeah, I don't have anything up.
Okay,
if you want to pull it up.
Yeah, so this is where we landed with the head sculpts for the design with Inigo. Where are you? Present, share screen, window. There we go. So this is the latest design we have for the head sculpt. That is going to be part of the animated series Batman. And if that's successful, then the next figure we want to do is Robin, and then Joker, obviously. But a lot of people have been saying to me, dude, so many people just skip over Robin, and I really think for the animated series you shouldn't. So I've been listening, and if this is successful, Robin and Joker are next.
Oh. Nice. Very nice. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Guys, that's going to conclude our show. We went way over on time, but listen, we got a lot out. We laid some stuff to rest. We talked about new products. Everything's good. We had fun. A lot of great questions. And hopefully, we did this stream justice for everybody out there. And yeah, man, first off, I want to thank you guys for, being with us here on a Saturday evening, my time, and, Saturday morning over on the West Coast. And of course it's nighttime over there already, where you're at, right, Joost? So
yep.
I appreciate everybody in the chats. I appreciate the super chats, and I want to thank everybody on the panel. Make sure you follow Collector Joey, D-Lo, Evil Sneaker, Jazzinc's information is all in the bio of the video, so you guys could go ahead and check out the Facebook group, the website, obviously. Radd Titan, shout out to him. You guys could look him up as well. And obviously, everybody else, Low Key Collector, Sean, obviously, as always, and Mr. Kennedy, who had to step out. But thank you guys, and most of all, thank you, Joost, for coming on to the show, man. I really appreciate it. You taking the chance to coming on here and not knowing what was going to happen. And all of a sudden we made you do a riff on your guitar. So thank you for that. And, you're always welcome back if you ever want to hang out and talk any new reveals or anything like that. And I'm really excited to see what the future holds for you. I feel like I said it before, we haven't reached your maximum potential. I feel like you only use like a percentage of your brain still, and we have a lot to unlock when it comes to these figures. I'm telling you, man, I'm waiting for you to go. Yo, listen, I'm in a group chat of Batmobile makers, or like a Facebook group where they make the actual real life-size Batmobiles.
Right. And
I put this in there to see if they watch, but I almost feel like you should build your own life-size Batmobile just for like fun of it. I think it would be really, really cool. But thank you, man. Is there anything else you want to say before we close the show?
No, thank you. So I've been looking forward to this for days. I've been telling you in the chat.
Yeah.
I'm very sorry about the guitar playing.
No,
I'd love to come back.
It was good.
And whenever you guys will have me, this had been a lot of fun, and thank you for all patiently being here, just staring at your screen, and it was wonderful.
Appreciate you. And real quick, let me just go around the horn because I know these guys have shows themselves. We'll talk. Steve, you got anything coming up? When's your next show?
My next show will be tomorrow night. I do a show, sneak peek, live at 8 p.m. Central. So you guys can check me out with How You Figure, who was in the chat earlier. So yeah, that's my weekly show. Would appreciate any of you guys coming in to tune in.
Nice. Thank you so much, dude. I really appreciate you. D-Lo, what about you, bud?
Yeah, you catch me on Wednesdays on Wolfpack Wednesdays with Steve as well too. Graham and Brick Artemis here. I myself don't do the show thing myself. I do more videos style things. So I'm actually in the process of remodeling this room. So that's why you can only see half of my room at the moment, because the other half you don't want to see right now.
But you're like me. I got a UPS factory down here. It's crazy.
Yeah. So I'm a work in progress right now, but I've been documenting the whole process. I'm going to start doing some more videos, just like Module Case specific videos, since I'm rebuilding my room up, tech videos, just so you can kind of see what a streaming system would look like as far as if you wanted to do this. So I've got a couple of ideas, and I got a couple of things that I'm just rolling footage right now. And then once this project is complete, I'm just going to chop it up all together, start throwing out some videos.
Nice, man. Appreciate you. And look, Brian, he's part of that chat. Look, we got some life-size builders listening. There you go. You guys need to like talk to each other, man. This is awesome. Really cool. See, I'm glad that worked out. But D-Lo, thank you so much, man. Looking forward to those videos. And of course, Wolfpack, right? Oh, we got Collector Joey. What's your next show, bud?
Thursday, 9 p.m. CT, Copper Drop with Austin Nicholas, Reverse Dio, and Danny Spotchka. So I come out with videos. I mainly just reviews when I get a figure, but that's about it.
Cool. We'll see you then. Low Key Collector, what's up with you? What's next for you?
I'll be on with Leo tomorrow morning, 1/6 Scale Man for Collector's Lounge, and then Say What Wednesday. So check us out. And then LW on Fridays if you guys want to go wild and crazy with us. So
let's go. Very good. Very nice. Thank you. And Sean, our residential artist, when's your next? Is it New York Comic Con next? What's next?
No, got Baltimore next weekend, Baltimore Comic Con, if anyone's around in that area. And then, I got New York Comic Con is probably coming up in about a month. We'll be putting, for anyone who's interested in the meetup, we'll be putting my booth number in the Facebook group for that pretty soon. We just got our booth numbers a little while ago.
Yes. So anybody who's interested, I am doing a New York Comic Con meetup with a bunch of other YouTubers and influencers and people who've been on panels on shows. Just a one-stop shop for everybody to kind of meet each other, take pictures. I haven't met half of these guys that I talk to all the time. So that's cool. You get to see Sean Crossan's booth, which is going to be packed. And we're going to be invading some of our partners like Pure Arts, PCS, Diamond Select, Gentle Giant. We're going to be doing giveaways of figures and statues. So if you're interested, go to Toy Quest 101 Facebook group. It's pinned. It's the event there. That's where all the information is going to be. Once again, every information for Jazzinc is in the bio of the video. Again, Joost, thank you so much. Thank you to the missus who was helping out in the chats and allowing you to, steal away from her time and have you on our show. So thank you. And guys, we'll catch you hopefully next Friday. I think I'm gonna have another guest on, but tune in and we'll catch you guys on another episode of Collectors Assemble Live. Peace, y'all.